Oh, please be seated. Thanks so much. Appreciate Valley Smoke for hosting us again. We've done other events here, and I think they had a law enforcement focus as well. So it's always great to be back in St. Johns County and Ponte Vedra Beach, our old stomping grounds. And I know there's a lot that's going on. And we're joined here today by a lot of our who's who from law enforcement, Commissioner Mark Glass, FDLE, Colonel Gary House, Director of the Florida Highway Patrol. We're going to hear from a trooper, one of our state troopers, Virginia Hatch. We also have Representatives Michael and Kendall from Northeast Florida, so I want to thank them for coming here, and especially, Rep. Michael has been really, we just signed this big immigration bill. We're making it a crime to enter Florida illegally. We're able to hold local officials accountable. Locals have to participate in immigration enforcement, no bail for these criminal aliens. Like, there's a lot of really good things that people have been asking for a long time. Cayenne, really, from the beginning of our administration as just a private citizen, an angel mom, helped us get the sanctuary cities ban passed. That was important, but it's really... Unfortunately, with Biden, it didn't matter if you were sick, because he was he made our country a sanctuary. But now, you'll see if any locals try to do it, and then we even have more ability to go. But she's been a part now in the legislature of really bringing this stuff in. Now, there's a lot of work to do to implement. We're going to have some great announcements over the next week in particular. But I'm really excited that Florida's leading the way yet again on an issue that's really, really significant to our voters. Now, another area that we've led on over the last many years has been our unwavering commitment to law and order. And that wasn't always the case in some parts of the country. In fact, even many parts of the country wavered for some of those years. For us, that was never anything that we contemplated. And not only did we reject the defund the police movement when that was raging during the BLM riots of 2020 and in the ensuing years, we actually signed legislation in Florida prohibiting local governments from defunding their police forces. We are not going to let asinine policies take hold in the state of Florida, whether it's at the state or local level. We also we responded to the BLM riots in Florida by not letting them burn our cities down like they let in other places, which was good. But we also knew we needed to do more, so we have enacted strong anti-rioting legislation, which makes sure that people that try to do that will be held accountable. We are not tolerating looting or lawlessness or mob violence in the state of Florida. And you notice when you have part of that bill was to keep our roads clear, because these people would be in Minneapolis and they'd shut down the bridges and stuff. And I'm like, that's not going to happen in Florida. And so fast forward a few years later, pro-Hamas protesters, they tried to go out on the streets in Florida. And I think Miami PD got them off in 13 minutes, but then I think State Highway Patrol got another group off in 11 minutes, and they were gone. And we're just not tolerating it, so don't even try it. We've also recognized the sacrifices that people who are in uniform have done, both our police and fire. So we did, over a series of, 3 years, we did a total of $321 million for first responder bonuses. And so all of our first responders got bonuses of $1,000 after taxes. So you get more than $1,000, but ends up netting to $1,000. And that was just something that we thought was important to do, partially because there was a lot of hostility to law enforcement at the time. Part of it is people were doing a lot during COVID and all this stuff to really step up to the plate. And I think we're probably the only state in the country that did that. And look, the results speak for themselves. We've had good policies. Our crime rate's at a 50-year low in the state of Florida. But what we also noticed was there's a lot of dissatisfaction and low morale around the country in a lot of these police and sheriff's departments. I remember I was in California a couple years ago, I was talking to a police chief in like a very nice part of Southern California, and I was just like, "How are things going?" He's like, "Well, I'm doing really well. It's just all my police officers want to move to Florida now, and that used to not be the case, right?" And so we saw this. We saw how people were treated in Chicago, in Seattle, New York City, some of these places. So we enacted the Florida Law Enforcement Recruitment Bonus Program. So everybody, all new recruits are eligible, whether you are police force, a sheriff's department, or one of our state law enforcement agencies. You qualify for a $5,000 bonus upon signing to join the force. And we recognize that as a way to recruit good people who are being treated poorly in other parts of the country, but also to incentivize our own people here in Florida, our young people, to view law enforcement as a viable career. I would not recommend going in some parts of the country, quite frankly, but I think here I would recommend, because I think you'll be treated well by the community, by the state, by leaders, and you'll have an opportunity to really make a difference in people's lives. And so we have been able to, the out-of-state transfers, we've got almost 1,600 over the last couple years that have come from some of these other jurisdictions, and they're now in different police forces. I don't know, do you guys have probably had some transfers from other, and look, I haven't talked to all 1,600, but the ones I talked to, none of them regret moving and working here in the state of Florida. We've also done a total, we've done 7,200 new recruits from the local and within our state, people that are coming that are new to law enforcement. So this has been a big deal. We've done almost $50 million in this. We also created a Florida Law Enforcement Academy Scholarship Program. So it's tuition fees and up to $1,000 of educational expenses if you're in a law enforcement officer basic recruit training program. And if you think about it, we do like Bright Futures Scholarship if you go to university, which is fine. But why would we not also want to help and provide opportunities for people who are going in to law enforcement? And I think that's really, really good. So this is, it makes economic sense to go into law enforcement because we've provided some benefits, but it also is something that is favorably viewed in Florida. And again, so for example, it's really important. So now if they pull somebody over who's driving erratically or driving under the influence and they're here illegally, you can do in whatever for local offense, but ICE can come pick them up or not. And if ICE doesn't have the ability, they can't. You're not authorized to just become an immigration agent without going through training. Now they'll be able to have an illegal alien, not eligible to drive here, not eligible to be here, and they'll be able to bring them directly to ICE for processing and repatriation. So you're going to see a huge, huge benefit for them to be able to do that. So that's called the 287G agreement. We were one of the first states in the country to do it. We have been the first state in the country to respond legislatively by putting a duty on all of our local law enforcement agencies to participate in these immigration enforcement efforts. But we have FDLE. They were down. They're busting these Chinese illegals. Are down in South Florida, like massive numbers of Chinese illegals. I'm like, why are they in Florida? Why would Biden would just let them come in basically? And so they're going. They just busted this illegal for child porn that should never have been in the country to begin with. They busted the Venezuelan gang members. They've been doing a lot of busts on those gang members, and so this is working with ICE to go in and to remove illegal aliens from our communities, which is ultimately what you need to do. So as we now get ramped up with all this, you're going to end up seeing ICE embedded with like the sheriff's department here. So they're going on normal missions. Oh, you know what? Some of these people are illegal alien gang members. We're going to grab them and we're sending them back. So this is really what you need to do. But our guys have been at the forefront of all this. The legislation, we wanted the legislation for a number of reasons, but we wanted to make sure that all law enforcement knew they had a responsibility to assist with the enforcement of federal immigration law. Obviously, they're not going to do anything that the feds aren't willing to do, but we can't just sit on our hands if we want this to succeed. But the state, I mean, I had directed that anyways. I mean, I didn't need the duty because I was imposing it from my constitutional authority. And so you have FHP as this agreement. We're going to be announcing FDLE with a similar agreement to be able to work there. And, you know, part of the problem that we've noticed with the feds is Biden decimated this agency. And so all these programs where you would integrate local, they just totally fell by the wayside. So these guys are working really hard up there now under the Trump administration to stand this back up. But, you know, you got to put these guys through certain training. There's certain things that need to be done. So we're ahead of the curve. We're ready, willing, and able to help. As soon as the feds, you know, bring down stuff, we're going to go. And that's why I wanted to do this special session and do it early so that we were ready to roll. But our state folks, I mean, we've been involved in this fight for a long time. Yes, Biden was not a good partner, but even during Biden, you know, we had our guys out on the water in South Florida. You remember a year ago, Haiti had a lot of problems. I mean, they always have some problems, but they had a lot. People thought you're going to see a massive influx of people arriving in South Florida from Haiti by boat, and they were like, you know, there was a lot of kind of fear-mongering about that. Well, we did Operation Vigilant Sentry. I did an executive order. We put vessels down. We have great radar. We've interdicted in the last year and a half almost 18,000 illegals on the sea. There's just the state, not even counting the Coast Guard. And then we turn them over to the Coast Guard. And if you catch them on the sea, the Coast Guard will bring them back. So we've been doing that anyways. And that's even with Biden because Coast Guard is trained to take them back. So this is something that's been really good. So I don't think it gets enough attention what your state law enforcement personnel do because they obviously have core missions, keep the highways safe, you know, certain state crimes with FTL, but they've done a lot more. And they've been called upon to do a lot more. And so we want to recognize that. First of all, just recognize it publicly, but then also be able to talk about this next year's budget and what we're recommending to the legislature, because I do think it's important. And not that everyone does this for money, because obviously you're not going to be super rich being in law enforcement, but we think it should be something where, you know, you can earn adequate income to have a good middle-class lifestyle. And we have done stuff with our state law enforcement since I've been governor, and we're happy to have done that. We've also done stuff with corrections, but we need to do more. So I'm pleased to be recommending almost $120 million in pay increases for 4,700 state sworn law enforcement officers, as well as more than 700 of our state firefighters. And so this would mean a 20% pay increase for state entry-level LEOs and a 25% pay increase for veteran sworn LEOs that have been protecting our communities, obviously, already. And then all of our state firefighters will also get a 25% pay increase. So we think these are important vocations. We want to make sure that we're keeping good talent. Now, the reality is if you don't do that, it's not that they don't want to serve, but if they have other opportunities, then you lose them. Heck, you can lose them to the sheriff's department. You can lose them a lot. So we want to make sure that we're doing our part in the state, and I think it's something that I think most Floridians support. This is not a large amount of money in the context of the overall budget. I mean, it's a small fraction, but I think it'll be very, very meaningful, and it will ensure that the good work that has been done will be able to continue. So we are proud to recommend this. I know the legislature will come in March and start working on policies and working on budget, but this will be meaningful, and we're happy to be here to endorse this